Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of PonyFans Live. PonyFans Live is brought to you by Lakewood's First and 10, located at the northeast corner of Mockingbird and Abrams in Dallas, and recently named by D Magazine as the best sports bar in Dallas. Game Day Cloth. Love your team, love your clothes. Visit their store at the corner of Legacy and the Tollway in Plano. Check out GameDayCloth.com. And this Friday night, September 10th, Game Day Cloth is having its grand opening at 5 o'clock until whenever the last person leaves. They open at 5. They will have live music at 6. There will be plenty of food, new line of gear for all their schools, including SMU. So be sure to check out Game Day Cloth Friday night. PonyFans Live will be here at Lakewood's First and 10 every week throughout the season. So we invite you to join us each and every week. For those of you who can't make it, it will be YouTubed and broadcast on PonyFans.com the day after each show. So be sure to check PonyFans to get every week's guests. With that said, please help me welcome our guests for this week. On my right, one of the Mustangs quarterbacks in 2004 and 2005, and the author of one of the most improbable and dramatic comebacks in SMU history against this week's opponent, UAB. Our first guest guided SMU 80 yards in 23 seconds and threw a 31-yard touchdown pass on the last play of the game to upset UAB in 2005. Jerad Romo.
Thank you.
And on my left, a 3-time All-Southwest Conference selection who led the Southwest Conference in passing efficiency in 1982. Some have called him the greatest option quarterback of all time. The man who led SMU to an 11-0-1 record in 1982, and as far as we're concerned, the national championship. And when you consider all the great players in Southwest Conference history, no quarterback ever won more games in the history of that conference than Lance McIlhenny.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, we're going to start with Jerad. First of all, Jerad, catch us up a little. You've been out of school for 5 years now. Where are you? What are you doing now?
I work over at Sewell Lexus and started over there about 3 years ago, right after I finished up one season of arena football, and really enjoying it right down the street from home.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, you came from Tehachapi, California.
That's right.
Just north of LA.
Yeah.
All right, I've obviously never heard of it. I'm pretty sure nobody else here has ever heard of it. And you end up playing junior college at Antelope Valley Junior College.
Right.
How do you end up at SMU? Who found you, or who did you reach out to get in contact with SMU, and how did you end up here?
It's a long story, but kind of a miracle actually. It's a culmination of things, but there was a guy who played quarterback he played receiver at Texas Tech, Robert Johnson, and he was a quarterback in junior college where I played, and we played against him 2 seasons in a row, and I had great games, but everyone was actually coming to watch him, and their team ended up winning junior college national championship. But anyhow, after all that, once he started getting recruited over here, they started paying a little bit of attention to me. But then my tape actually, I guess Coach Bennett kind of wanted to recruit in like a 300-mile radius of Dallas. And so basically my tape was moved to a pile of, these kids are not coming here. And Coach Sawyer had a late night, he was there about 12:30, and wanted to watch one more tape and grabbed my tape off the wrong stack and put it back in. And from that point, another 2-3 weeks, he kept trying to push the coaches to watch my tape, and they kept saying no, but he pushed for it, and finally he got Coach Roark to watch it, and him and Coach Roark got Bennett to watch it, and I got to come to SMU.
All right, now before we get to your playing career at SMU, I've always contended that you are one of the most courageous players to come through SMU because you managed to marry the sister of a teammate. And which I've got to think is a pretty dicey proposition, especially when that teammate is a linebacker who gets to hit you in practice. I know quarterbacks never get hit in practice, but how does that come about? How do you end up marrying the sister of a teammate, and especially one whose job it is to chase you around and beat on you every afternoon in practice?
I guess that's what Mr. Sewell saw in me. I was a salesman, and so I had to sell myself to Will and to Ashley. But we met before Will came to school at SMU about 4 or 5 months earlier, and when I met him, we shared a lot of the same goals in football, and both were dedicated to winning and everything like that. And if I was being kind of scummy with it or something, it might have been a different story. But it wasn't that way, and I didn't throw anything in his face or anything like that. I just kind of played it cool, and it all worked out.
All right, now I know you've met Lance before, but when Lance was running wild all over the Southwest Conference, was about the time that you were born.
Right.
Stings a little, doesn't it?
It hurts.
Yeah, okay. But growing up in Southern California, did you have any concept of SMU, where it was, what it was, or certainly some of the history of it with guys like Lance and Eric Dickerson and Russell Carter and all those guys?
I really didn't. My dad did, and my junior college coach did. His niece, he was in his 70s, my junior college coach, and he had a niece that went to SMU. And when he found out that SMU had the slightest bit of interest, he said, "Jerad, you are going." And he picked up the phone and called my dad, and my dad and him started talking about the Pony Express and all the glory days, and they knew all about it. I didn't, but they told me, they said, "You're going." And when I came on my recruit trip, when I left, I actually hadn't been offered still. I left on Monday, and it was kind of up in the air, and I left on Sunday, actually, and Monday they called me. But on the plane flight home, my dad said, "If they offer at all, you're going." And so he knew, my coach knew, and he said, I'll explain to your mom that you're moving to Dallas, but we'll talk about that later.
So the year that you arrived, you were actually one of 2 junior college quarterbacks who came in, you and Tony Eckert.
Right.
Very different styles. Okay, you're left-handed, he's right-handed, but you were more of a mobile guy, he was more of a classic drop-back passer.
Right.
And there always seemed to be a debate those 2 years that both of you played.
Yeah.
Did it help you to make defenses prepare for both styles, or did it hold back a little because the coaches had to end up calling a series of different plays for each of you?
It was a little bit of both. I mean, it was tough at first for the two of us. We were friends and we liked each other, and we broke down film together and all that. But it was, we have 2 different styles, but in the same point, he wanted to be able to run some option plays and open up a little bit, and I wanted to be able to throw the ball a little bit. But when they'd put me in, they would call all option plays or running plays. When they put him in, they'd call it drop back. So it's like neither of us could really do exactly what we wanted. We wanted to do all of it and not switch out together. But it worked out. But a lot of people tried to press our friendship, and the media tried to say, "Do you like each other?" And we always said, "Yeah, of course we do." But it was tough. It was a tough time.
Okay, but you're a good enough athlete. You not only led the team in passing one of your 2 years, but you also were the team's leading rusher, which is a little unusual for a quarterback, at least since you graduated. But you had a 59-yard touchdown against Oklahoma State. You had a 51-yard run against Rice. How would you have fared in an option offense like Lance ran?
I would have liked it. It's hard to say. Everything's so much different nowadays, But I enjoyed running the ball. I also enjoyed throwing the ball. The tough part for me was I didn't want to be labeled as a running quarterback. I can throw too,
Right.
And that was the hard part. Is I wanted to make plays, but naturally, if I throw a ball that's a duck, someone's gonna say, "No, he's just a running quarterback. That's all he is." I'm like, "No, I'm not."
So, October 8th, 2005, you guys are going off to Birmingham to play UAB. You're 1-4. You just dropped an overtime game where the team got robbed by the officials. You might not say it, but I will. You'd lost 3 straight. What kind of confidence did you have going into that week, and how good was the UAB team that you were getting ready to face?
The UAB team was tough. They had the guy Daryl Hackney that year, and actually before the game, he was throwing left-handed passes about 40 yards. So he's a right-handed quarterback. He was throwing perfect spirals. So wow, that's never seen that before. And it's on the road. I think we hadn't won a road game in about 14 consecutive road games. But our team was kind of unique in that we really did believe in ourselves, and we really did believe that we can win every game. I mean, we did. Whether that was true or not, we didn't know, but we had a lot of guys on our team that believed, and we went to that game to win, and we were winning the whole game until the very, very end.
Right, I was going to say, you're winning most of the game, and not to dig up old wounds, but you'd had a couple leads before in games that had gotten away. So you're beating UAB most of the day. You let that lead slip away, and you get the ball back with 23 seconds left, 80 yards away. What are you and Coach Burns and your teammates talking about on the sideline as you get ready to go out on the field for that drive?
Yeah, I mean, we were just saying, in that situation, you guys give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance to throw one in the end zone at the end of the game. That's all you can ask. I mean, we didn't have any timeouts. But luckily, on the first pass, I kind of underthrew it, and Bobby Chase came back and caught it. But the UAB coach said, no, he didn't catch it, he didn't catch it. And so they reviewed it, and that gave us like a 2 or 3 or 4 minute timeout. I mean, we didn't have any timeouts, but they were reviewing it. So when they were reviewing it, we were on the sideline going over our next couple of plays. And if you go back and listen to their announcers on the tape, I remember we came out for that second play, and I threw just a little swing route to DeMeyer, and he stepped out of bounds. And their announcer goes, "You mean after all that time, that's the only thing they can come up with? That's horrible." and then the next play, you get it to Ray, and we get to the 31-yard line, I believe, and they called sideline warning on them. So that actually took another minute or so for us to get things going again.
So you got 2 free timeouts out of it.
2 free timeouts. Yeah.
So without the officials, you don't win that game?
I'm not saying that. No, but it definitely helped us. I mean, they were stopping the clock when, in my opinion, if they would have just kind of let it go, we were scrambling. I mean, we were just running around. All
right, the final play, the one that was on SportsCenter and every news highlight show around the country, the one that people still ask you about. Do you remember the play call? Do you remember what Coach Burns said before you went back out on the field? And what are you saying to your teammates when you're in the huddle?
There wasn't really a call, and Bobby Chase just saying, "Throw me the ball." He just says, "Give me the ball. I'll catch it." And we had worked all the time and practice, obviously not on that, but I know Bobby was aggressive and he wanted it. And the way they were playing defense, their guy was in the back of the end zone, and Bobby ended up running up to it about the same time that he was. So instead of him being kind of in the way and Bobby having to go around him or maneuver, they were actually running up together. And Bobby being 6'4", 6'5", I mean, you got a great
and
shot.
The corner wasn't that big, right?
It wasn't that big, no. So they were just playing so far back, it made it.
Have you ever heard an explanation from the UAB coaches or anything as to why they were standing at the back of the end zone?
No idea. No idea.
So you heave it up.
Yep.
What's your perspective when he goes up and gets it? Can you even see anything? Are you on the ground? Or do you have bodies flying in front of you?
No, I wasn't on the ground, but there was one guy coming around my right side that almost sacked me. He came around and I just barely stepped up, and the only thing I was thinking in my head was just get the ball off. Get the ball off. Then once I got it off, it's keep the ball in bounds. And so I'm watching the ball. I say, okay, it's in bounds. I made it, and I can't really see him, but I see Chris Foster, who's about 5'8", jump about 10 feet off the ground and go like this. And at that point, I knew he caught it.
So, all right, describe the mayhem after the play, because you and your teammates are going absolutely nuts. We've all seen the clips of Bobby and Vincent Chase running around, hugging everybody that moves. The players are going nuts, coaches are going nuts, the fans are hysterical. Yeah. But the game's not over. You still got to do an extra point to finish off the game. How were the coaches able to sort of restore order while all hell was breaking loose out on the field?
It was complete chaos, and everyone was going nuts. And the refs were, trying to get us back out on the field, and we couldn't understand why. And we thought there was a penalty or thought, something was wrong. And Coach Bennett is yelling and going nuts, and just, he doesn't know what's going on either. He's just saying, "That's a touchdown, that's it." And we actually get out there to snap the ball, and I think we lined up incorrectly, and Ben Pointer snaps the ball up to me, and I actually went up in the air and I grab it, but the ref stopped the clock anyways. They said, "Oh, you guys are lined up incorrectly." I said, "Okay, let me get my hands back under there and kneel it down." But all we had to do was kneel it down, because I guess theoretically they could block a kick and run it back for 2, and the game still,